Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Scryfall Shenanigans. So this one, we're going to be going back in time to Legends, looking at some elementals. So what have we got here? Well, you'll probably notice that there are 7 cards from Legends which are now classified as elementals, of course, as we've seen in the past. With other creature types, when we had a look, those can change quite substantially. Some were elementals back then, and some are still elementals. Some, for various reasons to do with the naming, are now a combination of elemental with another creature type, or in the case of, say, a legend, it specifically mentions the creature type, whereas back then it just said legend. And you'll notice, as was the case with all creature cards from back then, they all have summon on them, because they're a summon spell. So we're going to go through, have a look at various slices. Well, these actually, as I always do with a creature type, I'm going to slice them by rarity. And we'll also take a look at some stuff related to errata text and those sort of things, alongside a few other things. I want to talk a little bit about one elemental commander deck in particular. We'll get to that at the end. So yeah, 7 cards we'll be looking at, so quite a short list for this episode. So 1 in white, 1 in blue, 1 in red, 3 in green, and then this black blue one. So if we go through and have a look at, let's reset this, the order by US dollars, gives us an opportunity to compare and contrast the changes in the naming of the type, but also to see whether there's been some major erratas to the rules text. This is pretty straightforward, actually. The main thing that I notice here, beyond the fact that this is a elemental spirit now instead of just a spirit, is notice back then there was quite a big difference in the way that some of the mana symbols were represented. In terms of the central bit here, you can see this style here on the white ones is quite different to what it went on to be. This also has never been reprinted in paper at this point in time as of this video, and you'll notice there's quite a few here out of the 7 that have only ever been printed in Legends. So yeah, 2/2 for 3, albeit 1 and 2 white, with first strike and flying. That's pretty good, actually, for the time. We got this thing. So 2 in a blue elemental, so it was an elemental, still an elemental. Looks like, I don't know if the text has slightly been simplified or not, but yeah, I suppose there's this extra bit here. So yeah, 2 and 2 blue, return target permanent to its owner's hand, cannot target permanents with enchantment cards played on them. So here it's just got return target permanent that isn't enchanted to its owner's hand, so it's a bit, I suppose, more condensing it down. And then this other one, so you go down here, if time elemental blocks or attacks, it is destroyed and does 5 damage to controller. When time elemental attacks or blocks at the end of combat, sacrifice and it deals 5 damage to you. So pretty big downside there. Has been reprinted a few times in paper. Artwork's not been changed though. Okay, moving on to the legend, the one legend here. That's an elemental, so legendary creature elemental. Although, as I pointed out, I think in a previous episode as well, in the case of legends, you just basically just had summon legend, and that was it. So yeah, a 4/4 for 3, 2 blue, 2 black with first strike, and this ability where creatures with Swamp Walk can be blocked as though they didn't have Swamp Walk. This also has an interesting tag on it, which I'll save until we get to there. You may have spotted something quite unusual about the card. Yeah, in terms of something to do with the layout. So then we've got this wood elemental, 3, just one thing, yeah, so only ever in Legends, yeah. So wood elemental, 3 in a green, creature elemental, so yeah, same here. And I suppose what they've done here is flipped the wording slightly. So here it's stars in the lower right hand corner are set to the number of untapped forest you sacrifice when wood elemental is brought into play. So they've sort of flipped that. So it's got as wood elemental enters, sacrifice any number of untapped forests, and then it says wood elemental's power and toughness are each equal to the number of forests sacrificed as it entered, and you've got this star down here. Floral Spasm, which went from being a spasm, not surprisingly, to a elemental creature. When it attacks and isn't blocked, you may destroy target artifact defending player controls. If you do, Floral Spasm assigns no combat damage this turn. There's a few cards in Magic that do that, where you have an opportunity to do something else, and that negates the combat damage by choosing to do that. So again, slightly a bit of, I suppose, a little bit of a tighter wording here than here. Blazing Effigy. So was an effigy, now an elemental. And you can see simplification here. So back then, talking about graveyard, and that was a thing for quite a while. When placed in the graveyard from play. Now it's when it dies. When Blazing Effigy dies, it deals X damage to target creature, where X is 3 plus the amount of damage dealt to Blazing Effigy this turn by other sources named Blazing Effigy. So down here you can see it's quite, what's the word? Quite a sort of complicated way, I suppose, of saying this. So it says, when placed in the graveyard from play, effigy does 3 damage to target creature. If an effigy is damaged by another effigy in this manner and is placed in the graveyard that turn, it deals the amount of damage received from the other effigy in addition to its normal 3. So you've got this scaling effect. Then we've got a vanilla moss monster, which was a monster and now an elemental. Has been reprinted in 8th edition with different artwork. And because there is like a foil version of it available, it was printed in a black border in 8th edition. Well, there was a version of it. And now we have it. So just 7 to look at. Okay, so at common we've got a couple here with Blazing Effigy. So let's look at the tags and various other things. Just one bit of rules information. If it dies and there are no creatures to target, then the ability does nothing. Okay. What have we got? Scales with multiple. So with that, you're going to see things like Relentless Rats, and those. There's a lot of. I say a lot. There's some instance where, like Kindle, where it's caring about cards called Kindle in the graveyard, or there's the bursts. I think, like Life Burst, Mind Burst, Muscle Burst. Again, looking at cards in all graveyards. And things like Rite of Flame and Rune Snag. Those sort of things. Yep, Timberwolf Pack. You get the idea. What's this requires notation? Okay. So are these all cards where it just says lost this turn? Okay, yeah, so it's basically keeping a tag on stuff. Yeah, so any card where it might be it's required to really just keep track of certain things. Okay, it's good to know that's got its own little tag. Okay, monster. It's vanilla. So I don't know if we're going to see much of interest here. What's the auspicious Starix? Well, yeah, that's got some extra goodies on it, hasn't it? $74 decks. Oh yeah. So these commanders where they're wanting you to play creatures with no abilities. So vanilla creatures. Yep. There you go. It's fun to think, isn't it, that there were cards in Legends which were vanilla legends. Yeah. Quite a number of them. Okay, there is one of these that is uncommon. That's it. So this Spasm that is now an elemental. So when Floral Spasm attacks and isn't blocked, you may destroy target artifact defending player controls. If you do, Floral Spasm assigns no combat damage this turn. So again, slightly reworded here. An ability that triggers when something attacks and isn't blocked triggers in the declare blockers step after blockers are declared. If 1, that creature is attacking, and 2, no creatures are declared to block it. It will trigger even if that creature was put onto the battlefield attacking rather than having been declared as an attacker in the declare attacker step. Okay, similar to caustic wasps. Worse than aberrant. Worse than feline sovereign. Unlock trigger. Interesting. So 44 unblocked trigger. What do we start with? Merchant ship. Okay. Oh yeah, these. Mindstab Thrall. Now, didn't they have, like alternate art, didn't they, for those? Was Necrite also printed with? Yeah. There's quite a number of Fallen Empires cards which have alternate artwork. Resort and Barrager from Homelands. Oh, here's Orcus Squatters. printed in 5th edition. Keeper of Tresson. Oh yeah, Ophidian. That was the one I was trying to think of actually. This sort of ability. Yeah, that's probably the one that springs most to mind thinking about it. And we've got Guilt Feeder. Difficulties. Oh, Cybermat. Okay. Yeah, there's certainly some cards there that make me smile. Do I want to talk anything else about this? Let's have a quick look here. What do we got? What does that synergize with? Oh look, there's Moss Monster. Interesting. Master of the Hunt. Yeah, those don't really look too much like walls to me. This always makes me chuckle. This artwork. And yeah, the other big thing about Legends, I was tempted, but there's just too many, is you get these really interesting legendary creatures in Legends. Stuff you never see again. Okay, moving on. So these are the rares. So we got Thunder Spirit. What do we got? Oh, Voiceless Spirit. Oh yeah, so 2 and a white, 2/1 flying first strike. It's worse than a White Orchid Phantom because this is 2 white, so 1 less to cast. It's because this is 1 mana of any colour and then 2 white. It's a 2/2 flying first strike, but you get this other ability. So when it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target non-basic land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. And we've got Thunder Totem and Pegasus Charger, which is another 2 and a white, 2/1 with flying and first strike. And you've got Sky Spirit, which is this 1 white blue 2/2. I think that card's that was originally printed in Tempest. Oh wow. Sliver Queen deck. Wow, there's some old school cards here. I imagine we're going to see quite low stats for these cards on the EDH rec. Let's have a look at Cube Cobra. This is bringing up some interesting stuff just for nostalgia. It looks like the usual things here. I'm assuming this might be in a lot of like nostalgia cubes with old artwork. Tsunami there. Oh, an energy bolt. What's that? Divine transformation. Okay. Oh, and there's another pentacle. I was tempted to do artifacts, but there were quite a few of them, and I'd previously done an artifact for a very close set to this anyway, so I decided not to go down that particular rabbit hole. Time elemental. Okay, this thing was actually reprinted. Okay, what's this? You both sacrifice and deal 5 damage in the combat. A permanent that isn't enchanted is a power with no auras on it. If time implemented attacks or blocks, but you no longer control at the end of combat, you can't sacrifice it, however it will still deal 5 damage to you. Okay. So, I suppose always is the fact that you can bounce permanents, really. So, yeah. Yeah, pretty big drawback. It's got both an attack trigger and a block trigger, which is interesting. You can use it to bounce planeswalkers, of course, because it's permanence. Okay. So is this going to be, just looking here to see the common denominator with these. Yeah, it looks like a lot of cards that just make the game miserable by either getting your opponent to get rid of cards or stopping them from playing stuff, or yeah. Okay. Oh, elemental deck. Interesting. Force a sacrifice to define the power toughness of this card right before it enters. You have to do this sacrifice no matter how this card enters. Okay. Fungus elemental. Shimatsu the blood cloaked. I missed something there. Let's have a look at this. Okay. Aspect of wolf, Gaia's liege, living lands, curd ape, ornamental, wood elemental. I'm just enjoying looking at these actually. Oh, you got things like Utopia Sprawl. So what are your legends that care about this? Okay. Oh yeah, of course we got Raphaelos. Although, of course, the problem with this is, yeah, you have to blow up your lands, which is unfortunate. So yeah, with there, you don't really want it in a deck where you've got other cards which are relying on you having lots of forests in play. Although this will get stuff back. Okay, so that's a, yeah, interesting synergy there. So you're putting the lands you control into the graveyard, and then you're getting a 5/3 green elemental creature token. That would be interesting in an elemental deck. That's worth remembering, although it's a pretty expensive card. Did I notice if that was reprinted in anything? No. It's unfortunate. Haven't got anything very similar. And then this. So, blue-black, legendary creature elemental with first strike. Creatures with Swamp Walk can't be blocked as though they didn't have Swamp Walk. Only ever been printed in Legends. Allows any creature controlled by any player to block Swamp Walking creatures as if they did not have this ability. It's not limited to just Drago. Right, so there's an interesting tag in here, which I've never seen them do this before. I mean, there must be other cards with this. So there's a printing section. So normally we have, tags for artwork cards, but there's tags for printing. Mixed alignment. So there's 15 cards in Magic's history where there's actually mixed alignment in them. So you've got here, so this one, it's like left justified and then centre justified. Not sure why. If anybody knows why, let me know in the comments. I mean, I'm assuming it's just a quirk of the time. What's this? Where did this come from? Oh, Dragon Con. Okay. Right. Interesting. So, there's nothing really. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, so most of these look like they're Legends cards. There's an Arabian Nights, and then there's some stuff from like these are later printings, but yeah, these would have been originally in. So they're saying it's all the way up to revised. Yeah, and then it was fixed here. Okay. Was it? Oh, okay. That's interesting. So they were fine here, it's just revised. Weird. Yeah, that is really curious. If anybody knows why that happened, let me know in the comments. I'm very curious now. Goster Dirk. Oh, 3 white blue. First strike creatures with Island Walk may be blocked as if they didn't have this ability. Okay. 15 hate land walk cards. Great Wall, Undertow, Quagmire, Crevasse. And I've got some legends here. So, oh, there we go. So Island Walk, Planeswalk or Forest Walk, and Swamp Walk. Deadfall, Hammerheim, Borg, Merfolk Assassin, Skullwood Hag, Staff of the Ages, Mystic Decree, and then Street Savvy. Okay. So, let me just, because I want this to lead into something else at the end here. Oh, okay. So we got quite a few old school legends here. And some using. Oh yeah, all of these. It's a shame really, not some of these did get reprinted in, what was it, Chronicles, but some didn't. So, and I can never remember which ones without having to look them up. I seem to remember, yeah, that got reprinted in Chronicles. Because I have a few of these because of that. Because the original ones can be quite pricey. Depends, this isn't too bad, but some of them. Yeah, I just like the look of some of these. Bring a big smile to my face. Yeah, we were in there, weren't we? Yeah, so let me just close out this so I don't go off at it. Then we got here. Okay, that's the ranking on EDH Rec. Good. Okay, so. Because I want to lead into something else. In actual fact, let's do it from here. I've already got it clued up. So, yeah, in terms of just overall, ranking against EDH Rec, and this is top of the pile. Time Elemental, Wood Elemental, Thunder Spirit, Moss Monster, Blazing Effigy, Dragon, Fluospasm. But as you can see, as we've been going along, based on the stats, they're not, cards aren't played that much in EDH Rec. I'm sorry, in EDH, according to the ranking here. What's interesting is when you look at Drago, so according to this, like 25 decks as commander, and as a card, 37. So, you've got a couple of themes, dragons and elementals. And as you probably know, if you come into here, you can get it to show you like an average deck for this. So I thought it's pretty amusing. So if you want like a black blue elementals deck, it's a possibility. So yeah, there's a number of creatures there. What was the ability again? Creatures with swamp may be blocked as though they didn't have this ability. It's pretty niche. Now what was interesting for me when I saw this card, and again I went through looking at some old sets and thought, oh, it's interesting, there's a few elementals in this set, let's have a look. And then as I was literally bringing up the tabs, I thought, yeah, I've got a deck which is a 5-colour elemental deck, which I've done a flip through on the channel, like a no chit chat one where I was just flipping through the deck. So I thought, yeah, I should bring that up. So obviously there's probably in here, if I go into Commander, we go to similar commanders. They're obviously similar for different reasons. So I don't see, a lot of, we don't see like a lot of elementals here. Obviously, if you go in through the themes and go through type all, then you can find the creature type elemental, which is down here. And then you can see all the various top commanders from elemental decks. And obviously, I've seen, Omnath builds pretty popular. Then you get this if you want to play like 5-colour elemental, Horde of Notions. There's also Animar as well. And of course, if you want, you can go down the Morophon route. I mean, Morophon's quite a good commander if you want to play around with creature types that don't have a specific commander for their type, and you want to play 5-colour. So or you just don't want to play for whatever reason you don't want to play that creature type where there is a legendary for that creature type, and you just want to have almost like a commander which is 5-colour, and just use it for building 5-colour decks with interesting creature types. Yeah, I mean, another way to do that is to put on something like a high utility creature, I suppose, something like Chromat. That's another thing. But yeah, I think that tends to be my sort of go-to if I just want a 5-colour commander and then I want to play around with the themes, as that might be, is to do Morophon or do Chromat, something like that. And there's some other 5-colour ones that would be equally applicable. What it leads into is this article, which I'll include a link to. So, way back from 2015. So I built this deck. This was an interesting series. If you've never checked it out, check it out. So there was a budget set on the very first episode. So article number 1 of this. And down the bottom you can see that was Brian, was that Stoutarm? And then the idea was that each subsequent deck, the budget should be, no more than that. So the goal is to come under it. So you've got this really interesting series of decks, which are all, at the time, were all sort of budget decks. And I don't know where we are up to currently, but obviously you can go through and work that out from this series. But yeah, here's the one, like I said, this is the one for the what was it? Sorry. Horde of Notions. Yeah, all the notions. Pretty simple land base, as you can see. So it's pretty cheap land base, and obviously you can, if you want to add some more stuff in there, like dual lands and tri lands and things like that. But it was nice. It was kept pretty simple. Obviously, there's some mana rocks in here as well. So yeah, I'll include a link to the deck flip through if you want to see the physical cards that I used in the deck. Yeah, it was a budget deck as well, so I didn't have to use any what do you call it? You know, there was no super expensive cards where I was just using a placeholder or temporarily, or you know, printed out some cards, something like that. I didn't need to do that at the time. I have no idea what the price of the deck is now, but you can sort of reprice it, and lots of different ways of doing that. There we have it. So hopefully you enjoyed that. It was a trip down an elemental rabbit hole in Legends. Thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future episode.